Have a very busy agenda this evening. Like to open the meeting by introducing two new board members here. To my right, we have Tim Fitzgerald and Megan Vincent. Welcome. And they will be serving this evening. They're both alternates. Like to start with some housekeeping items. Might I get a motion to approve a bill for $592.90 to the community advocate for the June 31st, 2023 legal notices?
I move to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Moving on to the first agenda item. This is to hear the appeal of Guillermo Garcia, 248 Spring Street, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a special permit to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 6, Table 1, to convert a single-family dwelling to a two-family dwelling without changing the outward appearance upon property located at 147-151 South Street in the Residence A zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 29, Plot 06100. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, Attorney Carolyn Henderson. I'm here on behalf of.
Would you like to have a seat, Carolyn? Or?
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Garcia. He had a family emergency, had to leave very quickly. So I'm here, and I will do my best to answer questions. I have the paperwork he has sent me, and hopefully I can get through this with you. As we know, Mr. Garcia has filed an application for a special permit to allow the single-family home at 147-151 South Street to be converted to a two-family. And under the zoning bylaws, that conversion is allowed with a special permit as long as the residence was in existence at the time of when the bylaw was passed, and number two, that the original exterior or appearance of the house is not changed. And both of those things are satisfied. He is only interested in converting the house to a two-family. He is not interested in doing anything with the garage. He wanted to make that perfectly clear. And if anyone wants to know exactly what he's doing on the inside, he gave me that information, so I guess I'll just be open to questions at this point.
Thank you. Ms. O'Neill, anything to add?
No, I think that states it pretty clearly with the special permit, and the application at hand in front of the board tonight. With the conversion of a single-family home to a two-family with no outward change of the appearance. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to open it up for comments from the board. Peter, would you like to start?
You mentioned that you have the details of what'll be going on inside. I think it'd just be helpful for the record if you could just kind of walk through it.
Sure.
Thank you.
What he said is that they are going to modify the inside with the plumbing and electrical specifically, so they're able to obtain separate utility bills for each unit. He's going to move a couple of walls, actually two walls, and then there'll be a new kitchen and a new bathroom for that separate unit. And basically, that's it as far as it goes, as far as what modifications on the interior.
And so it'll be one unit per floor. Is that the idea?
That's correct. It's up and down.
And will this be? Do you expect it to be rented? Would it be a short-term rental? What's the?
No, I think he's hoping for a lease. Getting leases. Yes.
That's all from me for now.
David?
What does the entryway like for the second floor unit look like?
I think that we might have plans for that. I think he.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm trying to. I think that there would be a separate a stairway that would go up to that second floor. He just sent these to me, so like I say, I'm looking at these right now.
Do you know, would it be like a front stairway or a rear stairway?
Oh, no, it'd be a front stairway.
It would be in the front, okay.
Stairway, yes.
Beyond that, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Megan?
I don't have any questions at this time.
Tim?
Is this a shared driveway?
Yes.
I could direct a question through the chair. Is there any requirement for the width of a shared driveway when it's serving, more than one house?
Louise?
I would, for a true shared driveway, sure, but I believe there's some sort, to my understanding, there might be some sort of easement
Yeah.
for the neighbor, which is a private agreement that I'm not, aware, I don't have the details of that. So,
But it doesn't, it does not show I see the easement on the plan, but it
Yes.
doesn't exactly show the driveway or the width of the driveway for 147, 151 South Street. Does the neighbor have their own driveway, or they don't? This is how
This is the shared driveway, but the easement was put on in 1941, I believe, June 12th. It was on the deed. It might have the dimensions of that easement. Let me see if I can find it. See, the said premises are conveyed subject to the easement and right of passage over that portion of the granted premises, 10 feet in width and 157 feet in length, running easterly from South Street along the land now or formerly of, and so on.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I could just follow up with another question. I was going to wait for public comment for this, but I figured this might be more efficient. There's a garage. There's an issue with the garage, that there might be an apartment in the garage. Is there an apartment in the garage?
They are not going to have any kind of residential dwelling in that garage. If there was one there, he is not doing anything with it, so.
Is there one there?
I think there may have been, but he's not doing anything with it.
Was anybody living in it before?
I don't know. That, I'll have to ask him that. I don't know if at the time he bought it, I don't know that there was, so I'm not sure.
All right. Is anybody living in it now?
No,
And there's no plans to have anybody live in the
No.
garage at any point?
no,
Okay.
not at all.
All right. Thank you.
That was actually my question.
Okay.
The garage.
Yep.
Yes. I think I'd like to hear from the public. I imagine that there might be some members of the public that wishes to be heard on this matter. So if there is anyone that would like to step up, I'd like to ask you to identify your name for the record and your address.
Hi, Rebecca Duhame, 148 South Street. I believe you received, hopefully you received the email that I forwarded on behalf of myself and my neighbors. I have in my hand an updated letter that I'd like to enter into the record. I don't know the process for doing that.
How many copies do you have?
I have just one, but you can have this copy.
You can bring it up and
Yep.
become part of the record.
That letter has now been signed by 7 of the butters and 1 additional neighbor. I'll just briefly, I think you've seen the comments overnight, but I'd like to briefly go over for the benefit of other folks in the public, the nature of our concerns. This stretch of road is a problematic one already. As you know, looking at the plan of the road, we have a high density of properties on the east side of the road with driveways close together. We already have issues in that area with the livability of the area starting to deteriorate because we have situations where people toss trash, not just from bypassing cars, unfortunately, but we also have a neighbor who is not here tonight, we didn't invite him to join, who seems to have visitors frequently that have trash issues. Many of us, you can see by the group represented here, are older. We are trying to age in place. We really would like to not spend time in conflict with neighbors over trash or other issues. And we feel pretty strongly that if this permit is allowed to go forward and this dwelling converted to a 2-unit dwelling, it'll mean the load of another family potentially, or up to 5 adults based on the zoning laws, being crowded into a very small space of stretch of road with the attendant risks of trash, noise, and so forth. Also called out in our letter is the possibility that this could become a short-term rental, even though that's not currently apparently the intention of the owner. There's nothing to stop that from happening. Shrewsbury has no definition in zoning for short-term rentals. By the way, I'm not opposed personally to short-term rentals. I have one in another town in Massachusetts. I just believe they should be properly regulated, registered, and that there be mechanisms to hold owners accountable should a short-term rental degrade into, say, a party house, or there be other issues. But a particular issue with a risk of short-term rentals in this location is that this stretch of road, there's about a 200-foot stretch of road starting from my driveway and the subject property driveway running north, where there's an average of at least a crash every year, often two. There is a utility pole in front of my neighbor's property that's frequently the victim of these crashes, which would suggest that people really aren't paying attention. But if we were to drop another household into this space, it adds to the risk of traffic collisions and other bad things happening. Because the fact of the matter is, people drive way too fast on South Street all the time and aren't very patient when those of us who live there are turning off and on the street. Frankly, we're concerned about our property values deteriorating too. This would be potentially the start of adding in another densification. This would be the first real two-family situation in our stretch of South Street. I realize that this property is already considered a two-family property, but I believe that's based on it being a double-wide lot, as opposed to the expectation that that house would ever house two families. So as you can see, we're really quite concerned about this, that we do very much want to see the property updated. It's in deteriorating condition. We look forward to the new owner rehabilitating it and getting a family installed in there, and would hope that they would be good neighbors to us. But we're really concerned that if there's a second family in there, or heaven forbid, it becomes two short-term rental units, it could really deteriorate our quality of life right there in the neighborhood. So thank you for listening to us. I don't know if any of my neighbors have further comments to add.
Can I maybe just ask a question, Madam?
Sure.
Have there been any problems with this residence being a party house?
There have not, but the person who lived there for the previous years was an elderly lady who barely was seen around the property. I mean,
Right.
I've lived there for 4 years now, and I never met her. I met her gardener,
Okay.
but she didn't really come out. So
And have there been any trash issues with this property under the current owner?
not with that property, but with another property in the area.
Okay.
But it would be easy to see. And, it's also with the driveway situation. Like you said, it's a shared driveway. That'll be challenging enough with two active households sharing the driveway. If you add a third into the mix by making this a two-family house, that could get really pretty intense.
Right. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard on the matter? Name and state your address for the record, please.
Peter Gray, 139 South Street. My father owns 143, which is right next door and is the adjoining driveway too. One, I'm against the two-family. When I met the guy originally, he said he liked the neighborhood. He was going to be staying there for quite some time. At this point, he is turning it into residential renting. And he has already added a 14-foot section on the back of the garage. He has put more plumbing in the garage, so I'm assuming he's going to take and turn it into an apartment because he added so much room to it. He added a 14 by 22 on the back, which in the process has dumped all the water. He put a swale in the back with cement and a drainage pipe that comes between the two garages, because my garages abut his, but my garages dump out or drive out towards his garage. And so in all these heavy rains, the water has been coming down and flooding into the garage, because I have no way of stopping it now, since there's no way it used to come down the bank and go the opposite way. And go, well, it could go both ways at that point, but now with the extra water coming off of everything. He's done a lot of work on the inside of the house and that at this point, and that's why I don't know what's going on over there, but it's turning into a problem for me at this point. My father's 94, so he isn't here for about the property next door on 143, so that's why I'm here. I've been there for about 35 years now. So I knew them. It was, their family had more or less gone when I moved in. A couple of the boys were still there at that time. So they used the garage more or less as a rumpus room in the back half when it was there. There was a bathroom, shower, and all that stuff. I don't think it was ever tied into the sewer system either. I don't know, though, for sure, so I don't know where the records would be on that. But don't know, other than it's, at this point it's dumping a lot of water between the garages. I end up getting it. I've had to take and dig out water from 2 weeks ago, that heavy rain on a Sunday. Mud and everything came in because of where he had dug it up and so forth in the backyard. So that needs to be addressed, but I don't know what's going on by adding the big addition on the back of the garage. So that's more or less my concerns on all this. There has never been 2 families in there that I ever knew of, and I've been there for 35 years, or just about 35 years, I believe, at this point. So past that, I don't know. Any questions for me that you know of, or?
Anyone?
I have that makes me think of a couple questions, if I may.
Well, please do.
Sorry. For council, does the owner intend to occupy one of the units?
No,
No.
no.
I assumed when he was talking to me that he was moving in there. So I assumed it was going to be a 1-family when he talked to me. And at this point, now he wants to make it a 2-family. He said he wanted to take, he liked the neighborhood and he was planning on being there. So at this point, he's turning it into a 3-family because I'm pretty sure that's an apartment in the back of the garage.
And a
He
question.
split the garage in half and has insulated it and put new plumbing and so forth in it too.
So a question for planning. The addition to the garage, is that permitted?
I am not aware of any permits for the garage.
Not aware.
I
There
just
are
looked
none?
up the address
You just looked and there aren't any.
There are no permits
Okay.
for the garage.
for purported 14 by
I
22.
don't see it.
Okay. And then for council, are you aware of whether
I'm
or not
not aware
it's-
of the addition. I just know what he told me, and he said there would be no residential unit in that garage.
Okay.
And
What is it going to be then at this point?
Well, through the chair, please.
And the other thing I want to say is that Mr. Garcia owns a home in Shrewsbury, so I can't see him saying that he would be there. That doesn't make any sense. He has a family and he lives on a home, in a home in Shrewsbury already. So he may have misunderstood and maybe meant he would be here taking care of the property for a while. But there is going to be no apartment in that garage.
I would just throw out there, I'd be interested to know what the status is of the addition on the garage and whether it was permitted. I think it's a challenging thing to ask for relief from the board. Under the zoning law, if there's a possibility that the zoning law might have been violated with regard to an
No,
unpermitted
I
addition.
agree. I just don't know that there is.
Right. No, right.
I don't know.
I'm just
That's
saying.
what I'm saying.
Before I might want to know more about that before I were to
Sure.
take action on this
I
application.
understand that. Okay.
Yeah, that's all from me.
All right?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Please step forward. Name and address for the record, please.
Darrell Henry, 131 South Street. I've lived at my residence roughly my entire life, so 59 years as of September. My knowledge to the zoning on South Street is from Farview Ave towards what used to be Giulio's, is now Central One Credit Union. There's a couple duplexes down in that area. My brother and I used to deliver newspapers on the street. He and I have discussed at length different houses by the people that used to live there almost 30 years ago. This property has never been a duplex in the 59 years that I've lived on the street. The property has always been owned by the Adams family. Ruth was the last person that lived there. My biggest concern is if this is allowed to go through, you're setting a precedent on the street for other duplexes to pop up. My brother's house is a single-bedroom home. It's a ranch style, but he's got 2 outside walls. He could do the same thing. And my own house, I've got a big garage in the back. Whether I could turn it into an apartment or an in-law or something else, I have no idea. But I am dead set against setting a precedent for the future. And as a long-term resident, I really would hate to see it screwed up. Excuse my English, please. That's about all I've got to say.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Henry, I live at 123 South Street. As my younger brother said, that's always been a single-family home all my life. I was born there. My father was born in the house that my younger brother's living in 1928. As far as the garage goes, it was an apartment when I was a kid. Mr. and Mrs. Adams's grandfather used to live in it, and that was when I was like 6 years old and younger. He passed away. Nobody's lived in it since. I was the one that called the town about him building onto it, so I'm just dead set against that house becoming 2-family. So I'm a little nervous here. I'm
That's
not
okay.
public speaking.
You sound
but
great, and we
anyway.
appreciate your comments.
That's just, it's not good for it. It's not good for that stretch of the town, stretch of
Thank
the
you.
street.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please step forward.
Hi, I'm Xi Jiang from 140 South Street. I agree everything what my neighbors had said so far. I want to add one more thing. This new neighbor coming in, telling us that he likes the neighborhood, he's planning on to stay there for a long term, and then now we know that that's not what he planned on, and by converting this single residential to a rental property, whether it's a short term or leasing, whatever it may be. So that tell us he's already contradicting himself. So whatever he said so far, whether it's by paper or verbal, I'm afraid to say that make me suspect whatever he is saying, whether he's telling the truth or not. He could be in the front, say one thing, and then doing something different in the back. But either way, it's not good for the neighborhood. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I have a procedure question.
Yes.
So I had mentioned my concern regarding a vote on the application until knowing what the situation is with the addition on the garage. If this hearing were to be continued, would we want to close the public hearing before that were to happen, or would we close the public hearing and then continue the hearing?
We would need written signed agreement with the applicant and for the extension,
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
since we had an extension for this filing deadline
I see.
through the clerical error of missing this application when it was originally submitted. He, graciously signed the extension to tonight.
Okay.
And of a filing deadline of tomorrow. So we would need to keep it open if you so
Gotcha.
could agree.
Could I make a couple
Please.
of comments? If it were not, if it's so bad for the neighborhood, then I guess I wonder why the bylaws would allow it by special permit. That's number one. Number two, what's allowed by right is a boarding house that allows 4 people, unrelated, as long as a original occupant, the occupant of the house lives there. So that's something someone could do by right. And if you have 5 people living in there, and then you've got 5 cars, so I don't see any difference, really. And just an extra apartment may generate 2 cars. There's plenty of parking space in that property. You have a shared driveway, but then you've got room in the back, and there's plenty of room. And in fact, he said that he had an outline for the parking. So I just want to bring that to your attention. If it wasn't an adequate use, then it wouldn't have been part of our bylaw.
I know what I'm struggling with is the purported addition on the,
Yeah, and I don't know anything about that. But I do know he said there was an issue about the garage being an apartment. He didn't realize until he heard from the town that he could not do anything with that. He could only have 2 units on the property. So he said, I want it known that will not be made into an apartment. It's just the 2 units in the main house. That's it.
I have a question for Ms. O'Neill. If there were a 14 by 22 addition, let's just say on the back, would that require a building permit?
I believe so. Not a building inspector, but yes, I believe so.
So it would be helpful to me if we were to have more information about that.
I can find
My concern would be if this were to go for a vote now, with that being an outstanding question, I don't know whether I would vote for it. And so my thought would be if there were a continuance and we got more information about that, that would be helpful for making an informed
That would
decision.
be, I think so too. I can find that out.
I would agree with that.
Yep.
I feel the same way.
Okay.
Any other comments from the board? All right, so procedurally, we leave the public hearing open.
Yep.
And we would move to continue the hearing.
Yes, and
To
I,
a
Move to
date
continue to
certain.
a specific date of August.
28th is the next zoning board meeting.
It is, the hearing's still open, so
Hearing's still open,
technically,
it is,
sure, if
yeah.
someone would like to step forward and make a comment, I'd ask it to be brief, and if it's new information, that would be great.
Peter Gray again, just, I was wondering too, what's gonna happen with the water now that's being transferred onto my property and into the garages? And when he did do the addition on the garage, he did not pour a footing or anything, it's just a slab, and then put the building up on top of it. That I did see. He did take and extend the driveway with, I think, crushed stone and so forth on the other side of the garage now too for, I would assume, at parking, but that's what I say, at that point, he's got enough of parking for 20 cars the way he went. So that's why I'm assuming he was planning on putting a third apartment in the garage.
So,
Whether or not she thinks so, but when I talked to him, I didn't know he owned another property in Shrewsbury when he bought that. He said that, you know, he liked the area and he was planning on staying. That's why I'm here for it. So thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
David Henry, and the only thing I was concerned about is Mr. Guillermo.
Could you just identify yourself for the record again?
Yes,
Sorry.
David Henry, 123 South Street. I had done some checking. Mr. Guillermo, from what I understand, is a builder, construction. If he was planning on originally putting an apartment in that garage, it's not hitched up to the street sewer-wise. So therefore, why wouldn't have Title V been done before he even put the addition onto the garage? When my septic system failed, I had to connect into the street. That garage is not connected into the street that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would expect all of these questions would be covered by a building permit.
yeah, whether things were done according to code and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So,
I think procedurally, what we are going to ask is for a continuation of the hearing until our next hearing, which is August 28th. So can I get a motion, please, for a continuation of the hearing?
if the applicant agrees.
She's agreed.
Okay. I move to continue the hearing to August 28th at 6:30 PM.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have just paperwork for the applicant and to sign.
Sure.
Okay, and then for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I need to keep that over there somewhere.
Thank you.
I forgot to leave.
They want to.
Anyone who's not interested in anything moving forward are welcome to, you are welcome to stay. We'd love to have you, but you're also welcome to leave.
We didn't know if we were going to be rude, so thank you.
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just have you sign.
Sure.
Thank you. Or either.
No, me.
Or,
Yeah.
You too?
Applicant's representative.
and then,
it's just a mistake.
Real? Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next public hearing. This is to hear the appeal of Dean Sokas, 25 Kingston Street, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a variance to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 7B, Table 2, to build an addition of a two-car garage 17 7/10 feet from the side yard setback upon property located at 50 Brook Street in the Rural A zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 44, Plot 006003. Thank you.
Good evening.
Would you
My
like to have a
name's
seat?
Dean Sokos. I'm here for the homeowner. I'm the contractor pulling all the permits. So ideally, he wanted to build an addition because they're just running out of space with the family, and we can't do it behind the house because of the septic system. So the only logical place would be in front, And it would be directly in front of the existing garage, which will become a family room. But on one side, we're a little shy on footage, so that's why we're here.
Okay. Ms. O'Neill, anything else to add?
No, not at this time.
He's already had an architect draw it up, so everything looks conforming, so it's appealing to the eye.
Give us 1 second. We're all
Sure.
trying to get to, make sure we have what we need. Yes. Got it. Ms. O'Neill, nothing? Okay, great. Let's go through the board and ask questions before we open it to the public. Peter, questions?
Yeah, sort of a question slash statement, I guess. So what I'm understanding is the other possibilities for placing this addition are unavailable because there's a leach field associated with a septic system. Okay. And I want to make sure I sort of understand the plans. There's obviously this dog leg that sticks far off to the back. We're not so much concerned with that, but if you were to put the same size addition to I guess that's the west, abutting the existing garage, that would be even closer to the line.
Right, we'd have to cut 12, I think it was 12 or 14 feet off of the garage, so it would basically be a one-car garage.
Right.
And it's just not enough.
You could put it to the south of the existing garage, but then you would have to change the configuration of the driveway to go around behind.
Right.
And if you were to put it on the other side of the existing home, you would also have a side yard issue there.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
This was the only logical, easiest way, let's say. You know.
right. So, under the statute, we pay attention to things like soil conditions, topography, shape of the lot that are unique and would cause a hardship. And we also can consider existing structures. I would consider the existing Title V system to be an existing structure that would impose a hardship if you were forced to not build because of the placement of it. So I think it meets the criteria for a variance.
David?
I would also add that the shape of the lot is irregular.
To say the least.
And
That's a fair statement.
It is
Second
definitely
that.
contributing to the hardship. So I think you've evaluated the alternatives and you came with the best one.
Megan?
This is a one-story garage addition on the front?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with everything that has been said. It certainly is an odd lot, so I have nothing further.
Tim?
Any renderings from the architect? Did I miss them? Were they here? Elevations?
They should be
front?
there, they're on the blueprint. I mean, the building permit that I applied for already, everything was loaded onto that, so
I
it
think
should
we
be
don't-
added there somewhere.
I only see the plot plan.
You're asking for plans for the house, is that right?
Just for a rendering to see what this looks like in the front.
Yeah.
And then I have one other concern. Is there any concern with the location of the new garage that getting in and out of the left side of that will encroach upon the neighbor's property? I don't know how the driveway is going to work here.
That's a good question.
What do you mean about the driveway?
It looks really close on the plot plan, so that if you're facing the garage, the front left corner, if you're backing out of that garage, there's a good chance you're going to back over the property line.
So they have a cutout on the right side of the driveway for when they pull out. I'm not sure if they're gonna do it the exact same way, but if there's room, that's probably what they're gonna do when they repave it.
I wonder if you could, when we look at the plan, I understand this is north. So is the driveway, how does that work with that corner that's there? So it would go just, yeah,
So right now, they have a cutout here,
around the side?
yeah.
Okay.
So when he pulls out, it's like an extra spot.
I see.
In
So,
front of the proposed addition?
Yes.
yeah, so for the record, he was indicating that to the
I'm
west
sorry.
of the proposed addition, there's an area that's a turnaround.
So
So where
the entrance to the
33.8
garage is the west side. Is that correct?
I think it's still the north, but there's a turnaround area carved
yeah.
out so that you can turn around and remain on the property.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm having,
Confused now.
do you pull directly into this garage or do you go
Yeah,
around the side?
directly in. So if you drive directly in on the right side, that's where the little side lot is.
Turn around,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know if folks can
Just-
see this, but
All
on the
right.
maps, So the driveway comes kind of straight in. You can actually see where the corner of the lot is marked off, and then there's an area of driveway that shoots off to the,
I see that.
I think this is
Okay.
the west.
Okay,
So it would,
Correct.
you would pull down through that
Yeah.
cutout basically into the
Yep.
garage? Or, yeah, basically. Got it. That little corner of fence is helpful in understanding where the line is.
Tim? Are you
I'm-
still thinking?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
access to public sewer?
I don't believe so. Honestly, I don't know, but it's not that old, so if it was, it should have been there a few years back. I'm not sure.
All right. Anybody else before we move on to public hearing? All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to be heard on this matter? Going once, going twice. Okay. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I move to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Can I get a motion from member?
I move to approve a variance under section 7B, table 2, in the rural A district to build an addition of a 2-car garage 17 7/10 feet from the side yard setback at 50 Brook Street.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You as well. Okay, next hearing. This is to hear the appeal of Patrick Collins, Shrewsbury Public Schools, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a variance to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, section 7E2, to install a 36-square-foot sign upon property located at 557 Main Street in the Town Center zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 22, Plot 021000. Patrick, step forward.
Need to sit at the table?
Absolutely, please do. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Patrick Collins, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations for the School Department, outgoing. And to my left is incoming, my successor, Chris Girardi, who's joining me this evening. So if I might just describe a little bit of the context for the variance application. The school department engaged in a procurement process and ultimately secured a lease agreement with Chatcheroni Properties to lease 557 Main Street for an initial term of 5 years with the possibility of a 2-year extension. Our purpose for doing so is the provision of special education services for a high school population or post-high school population of 18 to 22-year-old students, which we're legally obligated to educate up to that age. Typically, what we've been doing in the past is outsourcing, so to speak, or sending our students to an out-of-district program in Marlborough. But through the vision of the Special Education Department, under the leadership of Meg Belcito, we've decided to create our own in-district program and keep that student population in Shrewsbury to continue their education. So we needed some program space, and therefore leased the 557 Main Street property. A component of that program is what we call the RISE program, which is an acronym for Reaching Independence Through Supportive Employment. So the purpose of this program is to provide additional bridge support for post-high school students into their early adult years and give them some basic job skills training and help them also with life skills. So we've worked with the property owner. The property's been renovated, fully permitted to provide some provision of educational services, which would be about 2/3 of that property. It's a 3,600 square foot interior, so about 2/3 of it is allocated to the program, special education program, life skills development, academic classroom time. And then the front facing portion, a third, about 1,000 square feet, would be allocated to a retail store. And this would be just one of the opportunities in which the student population would have an ability, under close supervision, to gain some basic employment skills. These students will also be seeking employment in other local Shrewsbury businesses, whether it be Market Basket. We actually created a partnership already with Woosocks. We have a couple of our students working with the Woosocks at Polar Park. So this is just one of the opportunities for the retail operation. The retail operation, general store format, will be called Maple and Main. And we are seeking a variance to the town center zoning bylaw, which has a restriction on the size of the sign of 20 square foot in total. The front window, I think in your submittal, you'll see a depiction, rendering of what the front facade looks like with the sign. The front window portion, that window is a 12-foot wide window that's in place. And so what our architect, who's been doing some pro bono work, the owner himself, and ourselves internally all think like the best sign aesthetically and also visually would be one that spanned the entire length of that window, or 12 foot, and be a 3-foot by 12-foot sign, so 36 square feet, therefore exceeding the bylaw limitation. So that's what we're asking for this evening. Certainly want to also have the aesthetics of the sign, meet the intent of the town center zoning bylaw, and so it would be a wooden sign, hand-carved wooden sign, if you will, and likely with the colors of the Maple and Main logo. So that's a general description, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Peter, questions?
I would just say it sounds like a fabulous program, commendable effort. I don't personally see any issues with the larger sign in terms of causing any kind of nuisance by virtue of noise, odor, smoke, vibration, or traffic, or any of those other things we're supposed to consider. So I think I'm fine with it.
David?
I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Megan?
I agree. I think the signage proportions are not completely out of whack, given that facade and that everything, the way that there's delineation between the kind of siding at the top, brick at the bottom. I think it works very nicely. So I have nothing against it.
Tim?
No issues at all.
Great. I do have a question. I'm looking at, it says public parking sign. Can you expand upon, and this has nothing to do with the sign, but I'm curious.
Right. Sure, yeah.
Would you add?
Separately, we're working on a separate sign which would not exceed the limitation, the 20 square foot limitation, but simply be a sign that provided some notice to people that that parking area is reserved for customers during store hours, in program hours, but also thereafter in the evenings be available for town center public parking. So we want to make that available to other community members who might want to go out to dinner at a local restaurant. And our program's not operating, so it's really not a conflict for us. But we want to make that distinction clear to the public, both proactively in a positive way that here you can park here, but during program hours and store hours, it's really restricted to customers of Maple and Main.
That's totally beyond the purview of what this hearing's about, but I applaud you for that. And I think public parking is always something we hear a lot about. So having a parking agreement in place is commendable. Back to the sign, however, I agree. I think aesthetically it looks great. And I do understand the size as it compares to that front window just looks right. So, and the relief to me does not create any concerns whatsoever. So that's my thoughts. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Either that there is not. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. All right, can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve a variance under section 7E2A to install a 36 square foot sign at 557 Main Street in the Residence B1 District.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for
And
your support.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank
you
you.
for your service. And good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, next hearing. Okay, this is to hear the appeal of Duncan McCray of 17 Merriam Ave, Shrewsbury, Mass. for 2 variances to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 7, Table 2, to build an addition 33 1/10 feet from the rear yard setback and a deck 33 1/10 feet from the 40 feet rear yard setback allowed by the bylaw upon property located at 17 Merriam Ave in the Resident B1 zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 16, Plot 085000. Welcome, Mr. McCray. Step forward.
My name is Duncan McCray. Live at 17 Merriam Ave.
You want to take a
I
seat?
am the owner of the said house.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted a few words, just in general, about this property and this house. I've graduated Shrewsbury High School in 1987. Been a lifelong resident of Shrewsbury. This house has been in my family for 60 years. I purchased it from my mother about 14 years ago. My wife is a full-time teacher in the Shrewsbury Public School System. And I tell you all this because we are making a lifelong investment, because we want to live here longer. And because of that, we have 3 kids growing. We only have 1 bathroom upstairs. It's getting very hectic. We have a small bedroom where my wife and I sleep in with the small closets. We had looked around to maybe purchase a house in town, but during COVID, the small amount of inventory, what we could get, and it was financially, it was better if we put money into the house. So in the long run, that made more sense. This house is a unique situation because the addition will go out back. My abutting out back is the town of Shrewsbury. And with that being said, I know we are putting in the cemetery park back there. So we are not infringing on the neighbor behind us. And with that being said, I think they're giving us 50 feet of a buffer of forestry, what have you. And then my neighbors on either side, we're not going to cause a nuisance or hardship with them, as one of my neighbors looking out to the right has a detached garage, tall trees, he really can't even see my backyard. We have a detached garage on my left, my neighbors also can't see that. And the architect did a great job keeping with the character of the neighborhood and the existing house. Originally, we looked because this could have maybe been a special permit, because as you see, I have a 2-car garage to the back of the property line. And if you can see where what I'm asking for is almost goes parallel to the front of the garage. So, and that garage is, existing non-conforming, that's already there, it's about 400 square feet. So, at the end of the day, we want to invest in this house, we love the neighborhood. We love our neighbors, we're very tight, I've talked to them all many times. One of my neighbors here is here for support, which is great. Most of my neighbors have been in that neighborhood 10, 15. Some have also been there, 50 years or so. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. O'Neill, anything to add?
No comments at this time.
Okay. Peter?
A question. I noticed
Yes.
that the application mentions that the deck is covered. Can you just describe more what that means? It's not
Like
rendering.
a farmer's porch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not an enclosed.
No,
one will be
not,
sleeping
no,
out
just
there. It's
straight
not heated.
outside.
Okay.
Something we kind of added on, because once the cemetery, and we knew we weren't going to have, because we never know what's going to happen with that land, that'll be aesthetically looking into the backyard, and I understand the cemetery is more of a park too, which is, beautiful, so.
Okay. Yeah, I would just say, and this is an issue that's come before us before, that when it's an open-air deck, we treat that somewhat differently than if it were a solid inhabited structure going
Understood.
closer. So to me, where the house is where it is, it looks like the addition's in a logical place. The addition to the structure itself is not that far off from the rear yard setback of 40 feet. The real difference is the deck, and I think we generally give decks less weight than we would if it were a kitchen that's going back that far or
Exactly.
something like that. So I think a variance would be justifiable in this situation.
David?
I think to echo everything just said. The location of it makes sense to me. It's in the back. You're not going to be changing the view from the street really at all. So, yeah, I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Megan?
Nothing to add. I agree with everything that's been said.
Thank you. Tim?
So the proposed addition is a two-story addition?
Yes,
And then the covered deck's a single story off of that?
exactly.
Do you have any, a rendering?
I
or
do not.
Rear elevation, see what this
I-
looks like?
I have not gone for a building permit, just wanted to make sure I get this cleared away. I do not, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And my math might be off, but it seems like it's more than 800 square feet total. But, okay.
Based on what?
I'm just thinking of the two stories, times
Oh,
what I'm
times
looking.
two.
Times what
Oh,
I'm
I
looking
see.
at, plus
Yeah.
if we're adding at least 300 on the covered deck.
The covered deck, I believe I'd asked this maybe from the town, I guess I didn't, that wasn't included in my 800 square.
Oh, okay, that's probably,
Because I believe.
You don't count it as
It
You
is
don't
living
have
not,
to count it, because it's
Yeah.
not.
it's not living
interior.
space.
exactly,
That's
thank you.
heat, that's
It's
heat.
not interior living space.
Yep.
I
Fair
think
enough.
That's the quote. Yeah.
Okay.
And the garage, just to be clear, the garage is an existing, pre-existing garage
Yes,
that is noted on your plan?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
About how far is that from the rear? It's like a few feet, it looks like.
I'm sorry, what's that?
The garage, how far is that from the rear lines? A few feet?
I believe about 5 feet.
Okay.
It's pretty accurate. I mean, obviously it is accurate on the
Right,
Jarvis
right.
drawing, but
Okay.
yeah.
And just to be clear, so the land behind you that is owned by the town of Shrewsbury is for the eventual expansion of the cemetery? Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Currently Prospect
And like
Park.
I said, they're gonna give our street another 50 feet. Not they're giving us the property, but they're not gonna, 5 feet off our property line are not gonna be tombstones or part of,
Got
you
it.
know, we're all getting about a 50 feet buffer
Right.
just to keep it separated, so.
You're not gonna get any new neighbors anytime soon.
No.
Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
Okay, they're dying to get in there.
Yep.
Okay, so, okay, well, thank you. I don't have any further questions. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Please step forward. If you could state your name and address for the record, that would be helpful.
Kevin Campbell, 22 Merriam. We fully support what Duncan's doing. It's a beautiful house as it is, but it's going to be even better. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Campbell. Anyone else? Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I move to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve 2 variances pursuant to Section 7, Table 2, to build an addition 33 1/10 feet from the rear yard setback and a deck 23 1/10 feet within the 40 feet rear yard setback allowed by the bylaw at 17 Merriam Avenue in the Residence B1 District.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Ms. O'Neill, can I ask you, I don't have vote sheets on this. I just want to be sure we don't leave without those. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Next 6:30 hearing. This is to hear the appeal of Castle Development LLC, 590 Pleasant Street, Barry, Mass. 01005, for a special permit to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 6, Table 1, to construct an in-law apartment upon property located at 5 Old Barn Road in the Residence B1 zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 39, Plot 24003. State your name for the record. If you'd like to take a seat, you're welcome to do that or stand.
How you doing? I'm Steve Shavs, Castle Development. I'll take a seat.
Please.
We're proposing to do an in-law apartment on a colonial. It's in the cul-de-sac. My customers originally lived in Holden, brand-new house. They moved to Shrewsbury to be closer to their in-law, their mother-in-law. She is now in a state where she's beginning to get arthritis, wants to move in with them. It just makes more sense so they can, her daughter is actually an RN, so she can kind of help with her and actually be right there. We have plans, we have 2 means of egress. I know that was a big issue with the in-law. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay,
If you guys look at the plans, I'm sure you can see what I mean.
okay, thank you. Ms. O'Neill, anything you'd like to add?
No, we didn't, planning and building didn't have any real comments with
Okay.
special permit.
Questions, comments, Peter?
Sure. And this is as much for the benefit of the public, I guess. Can you describe a little bit about what the exterior changes to the building will look like?
It's your absolutely. It's your standard roof tear off on a garage, on a colonial. We rip off the roof. We're just literally adding a second floor, and then we're just going up. The only thing that would be different from your standard finishing over a garage is you'll have a staircase off the right side of the house coming down as one of her means of egress.
Okay.
Yep. Their neighbors also have that already done as in comparison to what they have.
Right.
So it's not like it's something that is completely different than within the neighborhood.
Okay.
And it is it's a family member that will be living
Yes,
with them?
yes, it's their mother-in-law, yes. She had lived in Shrewsbury her whole life. She had just sold her house this summer, so she is very worried about if this doesn't happen. She's kind of like, what am I going to do? I really can't be on my own. So that's a whole nother hurdle that she's going to have to, if this doesn't happen.
Great. And you understand it sunsets with the owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. David, questions, comments?
I have no questions.
Okay. Megan?
I have no questions either.
Tim?
They're making her climb the stairs? I'm just kidding.
No, hey, I get that. I totally get that. That was really, I'm not sure, maybe down the road that might not be happening, but I get that. I totally get that.
No elevator?
Not yet. No.
We're just making some suggestions for the
Right,
home.
right.
Because it's either the egress on the side, or she gets there by going to the second floor of the main house.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
okay,
either way, yes, she does
Okay.
have to go up a set of stairs. Yep,
fair enough.
yep,
But it's all contained once she's there.
yes, yep.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Might I ask if anyone would like to be heard on this matter? Okay. Can I move to close the public hearing, please?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second? Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Might I get a motion, please?
I move to approve a special permit under Section 6, Table 1, to construct an in-law apartment at 5 Old Barn Road, Residence B1 District.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Good luck
God
with
bless you.
mother-in-law.
Thank you.
Okay. Next hearing. This is to hear the appeal of Lake 20 LLC, 360 Hartford Turnpike, Shrewsbury, Mass. For a variance to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 6E5A, to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws to place a sign within a 25-foot setback on property located at 360 Hartford Turnpike, located in the Commercial Business Zoning District. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 53, Plot 041004.
Hi, Cohen Babcock with Lake 20 LLC.
I'm Steve Anacasa, also with Lake 20.
Welcome.
So we're here today. We're looking for 24 feet of relief. The sign you see there in the picture will be 1 foot from the property line. A little background, it's a 3-building complex on Route 20, 2 of which are occupied by us, being an office and a heavy equipment garage. And the front building is a retail business, and it's leased currently to a flooring shop, a long-term lease. We're both Shrewsbury residents. The woman who runs the tile business is a Shrewsbury resident also. We did the occupancy walkthrough with the fire department and the building department, and both Patty and the fire chief had recommended for means of life safety and emergencies that they would like the sign in that spot. That's where they asked for it to be. given the fact that you see the wooded tree line there, to be visible in both directions.
Right.
Can you just repeat that? So both the building department
And
and the
the
fire
fire chief.
department recommended that that were to be the sign? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. O'Neill?
Nope, no other real comments. I mean, a couple of questions we had were the exact relief you were looking for, which you just stated, and what it was going to look like. We didn't have a picture of that, so thank you for that. So that's all.
Thank you. Peter?
I would just say that looking at the aerial shot on Google Maps, I totally understand why it would be an issue to have the sign that far from the road. So if the building inspector and the fire chief think it's a good idea, I concur.
Thank you. David?
Will the sign be lighted at all?
I don't think the sign itself will be lighted, maybe in some uplighting.
Okay.
Or downlighting, something of that nature. It will not be like a backlit or an LED or anything like that.
Okay.
Megan?
Lighting was my question, but I'll add that I live right near here, and it makes perfect sense where they want to put it, so I have no objection.
Thank you. Tim?
No questions.
Great. I have no questions either. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to be heard on this matter? State your name and address for the record.
Yeah, hi, Wayne McLennan, 37 Clue Street. My property backs on to this property. I just want to make sure that the sign's going on the Route 20 entrance to the property. And if it is, I have no issues whatsoever. They've actually been to have a neighbor that is a business. They've been absolutely fantastic and very happy. So, yeah, fully support this. No problem.
Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Can I get a motion, please?
Well, first, I'll just say to answer the gentleman's question, I confirm that it would be on Hartford Turnpike as
I
opposed to.
think there
yeah.
was a acknowledgement.
Good. Okay. So I move to approve a variance under section 6E5A to place a sign within the 25-foot setback at 360 Hartford Turnpike, Commercial Business District.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. All right.
That helps. Thanks.
Okay, last hearing of this evening. This is to hear the appeal of Carlin Grenier, 45 Roman Drive, Shrewsbury, Mass. For a variance to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, section 7C2, to build an in-ground pool 10 feet from the rear yard setback and 5 feet from the side yard setback upon property located at 45 Roman Drive in the Residence B1 zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 40, Plot 220000. Thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Carlin Grenier, 45 Roman Drive. I'm the homeowner.
Take a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to bring your friend up to the table with you?
Want to join me? No?
Hey.
Sure.
You're on your own.
He was nervous that you were going to ask him questions.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, hon.
But, so, born and raised in Shrewsbury. My mother lives in Shrewsbury. We bought this house in 2013. We love the town. We love the community. During COVID, we were looking to expand, put a pool, weren't really sure. We were looking at different houses, different towns, and decided that we like where we are. We love our neighbors. It's a great neighborhood. So we want to put some money into the house, build some equity, and originally we were going to put an addition on the back first, but we're going to do that next year, and we want to put a pool in. So what I'm asking for relief is to push the pool closer to the rear lot line, 10 feet, and then towards the side for a couple reasons. One, with the proposed addition on the plot plan, in the deck, it wouldn't give too much room to get by, to walk by on the patio from the pool to the deck. So I kind of want to push the pool kind of in the back, call it plan northeast corner, just to give us some more space between the pool and the deck. So I do have drawings, I have renderings, what the addition's gonna look like with the deck, if you wanna see those.
Always helpful.
So I haven't applied for any permits, but these are construction drawings, so I wanted to go through this just to make sure that.
So just to be clear, the proposed addition, you haven't, this is the proposed addition that you're
Yes,
showing
correct.
us?
Yep. Which I haven't done anything with permitting, we just have, just construction drawings. So this is the addition off, this is the main house. This is the addition with a full walkout bulkhead to the basement.
Okay.
Proposed deck, which is on the plot plan, and then the pool. So if the pool had to move 20 feet from the rear lot line, it wouldn't give you a lot of room to walk by the deck. I think
Around that way,
I think you'd only have like 2 or 3 feet, maybe a little more.
Okay. Thank you. I'll let you pass it down.
Yeah.
Pass moving along. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not really.
Okay, thank you. Ms. O'Neill?
No, we understand, you know, there's a potential proposed addition, but we are just looking at the variance for the pool itself at this time.
Okay. Peter?
Sure. So I understand what you're saying as far as why you want to push it out to the back line with the addition, that it would be a little bit cramped. The question that I have is with regard to the 5 feet from the side property line. As you've probably heard tonight, when we, to allow a variance, we have to find that there's something unique about the topography or the soil or the shape of the lot that would impose a hardship if you had to follow the zoning rule to the letter.
Yep.
What I'm seeing on the plot plan, and I sort of pose this to you half as a question, half as a statement, is it looks like you have a downward slope to the back left corner of the yard. And
That's all gonna be brought up to grade, so the backyard, there's gonna be a retaining wall all around with a fence, so there'll be maybe a 1/4 inch per foot of slope. Right now, it's probably a 4.5 foot difference from the far back corner to where the pool is.
Right. So that's actually what I was going to ask, is if that slope was the reason why you wanted to put it on this relatively flat, higher ground.
Yep.
Because I think that would make sense from the variance standpoint. Okay.
Right now, the backyard's kind of hilly and it's not too practical with 2 young kids and having their friends over. It's just, so we're planning on taking trees down and doing a nice backyard project and trying to utilize as much grass by, moving it 10 feet and 5 feet, so we can have a little more grass.
Right. Well, and as, for the purposes of digging an in-ground pool, the downhill would make it a little bit more challenging.
Right.
So I understand why you wouldn't want to have it further to the left. So that's all from me.
So the topography is an issue with the downward slope of your lot? Okay. David?
You mentioned a retaining wall. Is that a wall, a retaining wall that will go along the property line? Is that what you
Yes.
said?
Yep.
And is that across the sideline, the back line, and then the other side lot line?
I can show you.
Can I see those on the big computer now? Thank you.
So it's gonna start,
Yep.
where are we, here's the patio, it's gonna start
There you go.
4 feet off the corner of
Yep.
the patio.
Yep.
Over, all the way to the rear lot line, down, and then it's gonna kind of die out right about here.
Okay.
And then everything's gonna be brought up to grade, so that, once everything is complete with the pool, the patio, grass, everything will be,
So the pool,
Here.
this is the pool
yeah.
Yes.
in the back. Yeah, you
Yep.
just.
Oh,
so-
backwards.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
So it's gonna come out all the way around,
Okay.
and it's gonna stop right about here.
Okay. And you said there's gonna be a fence on top of that
There'll be
retaining
a
wall?
6-foot white fence all the way around.
Okay.
Yep. That's gonna return into the house, both sides.
And then, like how How large will I mean, most pools come with some sort of like a concrete skirt. How large is that? Is that 3 feet? Is that?
For like patio and hardscape?
You just like, you know, like every pool has like that little bit of either concrete or other stonework that's just like right up to the edge of the pool. It's
Yep.
usually like 3 or so feet.
On the 5 foot side, it's gonna be 4 feet, a foot of stone, and then the fence. In the back, that'll be probably 6 feet, and then stone, shrubs, mulch in front of the fence. And then a little bit more on the left-hand side of the pool.
Yep.
And then patio up to the house.
Okay. No other questions?
Thank you. Megan?
I don't think I have any other questions. I think I'm good.
Thank you. Tim?
No questions.
Is that your son in the back?
It is.
Does he know how to swim?
He does.
All right. Is he excited about a new pool?
You have to ask him.
There we go. I'm getting a head shake.
You're on the record.
So the other reason it's kind of silly too is he wants an outdoor rink. So to gain the 10, 15 feet to one side, he can have a little bit of,
Future hockey player?
yeah, well, he plays now.
Great.
For the record, there's nothing silly about an outdoor.
No, I know.
Just as a hockey guy.
For the record.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing with the slope, we were never able to do the outdoor rink.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
Right. Makes sense.
yep.
Okay.
Okay. Public hearing, is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter?
Well, I missed my hearing.
Oh, there you go. I just assumed that you were here for,
No, not
in
for
support.
this.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question for the previous
Sure.
one, if you allow me.
Sure. Okay, so being that there's no public participation, might I ask for a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. And can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve a variance pursuant to section 7C2 to build an in-ground pool 10 feet from the rear yard setback and 5 feet from the side yard setback at 45 Roman Drive, Residence B1 District.
Can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll build your pool.
Thank you. Lisa?
You're welcome.
So
Okay.
does that mean I have the green light to move ahead, or is there a 20-day, there's a 20-day?
20-day.
20-day,
20-day
okay.
season period, yep.
Well, I'm sure I'll get something from,
Yeah.
Yes, you will. You'll be notified.
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Same to you.
Thank you. All right, looks like we've wrapped up tonight's agenda. Can I get a motion to close close the hearing?
I move to adjourn.
And can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right. You're welcome to come ask questions. Can you put this in the,
This is Miriam.
I think you have the Miriam folder?
Yep.
Okay. Drive.